All right, this is Masati, and we're talking about the tragic incident that happened on a subway where a beautiful young woman got stabbed by a crazed person. And and as a note, it gets crazier and crazier. People get crazier and crazier. And, we predicted this a while back. As a note, this is a tragic experience. How could it ever happen? But, realities are going to get stranger and stranger. It's going to be more horrid than some of the movies that you see in Hollywood. Okay? Hollywood movies, that was just a projection of, say, a foretelling of what's to come in reality. And there is a reason for that, but I won't get to that in this post. We're going to talk about the frequencies behind the two people involved and then society as a whole. Okay? So the first part, the woman. So reading the frequency scan of the woman. So and again, I don't know any of these people, but with my abilities through 3 near dots, I can scan anybody. So the woman always has or always attracts, say, atrocities in her life, right? She's a beautiful woman, beautiful possibilities, but she can, never reach those possibilities, which is really unfortunate. It's always there. It's almost there for her, but she can never reach it. Worse yet, she actually starts to, say, destroy herself at some level. So back in the day, it's like, well, somebody steals something from her, or somebody else takes something else from her. It seems like, people might have taken her boyfriends away from her, stuff like that, little atrocities like that, right? Although she's got potential. And then, as societies or reality starts to magnify, the atrocities against her not have to magnify. And unfortunately, at this point, atrocities had magnified to a point where it's so extreme, where society starts to wake up. Okay? She has to wake up. Unfortunately, and you can see it in her face, she didn't even realize that she was stabbed. And that's the key, because at that point, her spirit is just gone. So when I see her, it's just like, it's kind of like, I hate to use this example, but when you say cut a head off a chicken, the body still runs around, right? And it's terrible. It's horrendous. Well, think of it this way. Your spirit, or her spirit, left, and her body is just like running around. She doesn't even know. So her spirit, and we'll send her off, right? We'll send her off in the proper way. I've done that millions of times for people. So her spirit basically says, what happened? Her spirit still literally thinks that she's here on Earth, although she's passed away. Right? So it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of timeline distortions, especially today, where people's timelines or people's lifelines get truncated for some reason. And again, that's something I can explain on another post. The guy, okay? So what happened to the guy is, it's not just because, she called him a nigger and all that bullshit. It literally is that he is a prison for, say, a woman's identity on the inside. So when he looks at beautiful women, he gets so enraged. Right? He gets so enraged because he has to literally express himself. Just imagine a woman, okay, inside the guy. And that woman, every time she looks in the mirror, she sees this ugly guy. It's like, what the fuck? And they get so enraged. And the anger comes when, how you can't have something, but it's right there for you, right? Can't have something, but it's right there for you. And then, so what that means is, well, if I can't have it, then nobody else can have it. How many of you have been in relationships like that? If I can't have it, then you can't have it. And they destroy it. So that's what this guy is about, frequency-wise, right? He literally has to destroy those things that he wants that he can't have. In this case, being a beautiful woman. So do you notice two similarities? One, the guy wants things that he can't have. The woman almost reaches things that she can almost have. Again, it's the same pattern. So when those two frequencies collide, chaos ensues. So what happens to a soul when they just die like that? And, unfortunately what happens, and I'm seeing more and more of that, like back in the day, I actually thought that, you couldn't disrupt somebody's timelines, but It's crazy world out there. The logistics are crazy. I see so many people's timelines get truncated or end before their time. So when that happens, in this case for this woman, what happens is that well, I hate to use this example, but it's like the chicken, where they cut the head off and the chicken just keeps running around, right? Okay. So the same thing happens to this woman's spirit or soul. What happens is that the spirit, as soon as it's stabbed, it knows it's dead. It just like, again, just cuts off that disconnect. The body just idles, just like that chicken walking around. And then in short time, the chicken runs out of blood. In this case, again, the soul, the spirit, the essence, the energy of that person disconnect, not just her blood, coming out. So in that case, that spirit just sits there and is like, what's going on? And it just sits there. And in the future, say it doesn't get cleaned up, and I'll do a cleansing after this. We'll meditate on that. If you want to join, that'd be fantastic. We'll work on helping her, say, go to the level where she needs to go to awaken. But here's the key. If you've ever walked into a place where there's ghosts, right? If you've ever walked into a place where it's actually, it feels creepy in here. So here's the deal. In this case, that spirit will sit exactly in that same chair forever. And people who are sensitive, people will feel that something's going on, and it could be like a decade. They're still using that same train car. That woman would still be sitting there just doing whatever she does before she got stabbed. People will experience that. That's how that happens, because those time moments get frozen and it just get recycled. It's just a replay over and over and over and over again until somebody goes, oh, wow, somebody here, let's move them on. They just got trapped in a time cycle. Again, recursion. Okay. So in that situation, after this post, we'll help her cross over properly. Okay.